One of the stories that many of us in the media are paying attention to is an upcoming news conference in Vancouver with Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is a billionaire from New York, worth over actually $3 billion. Real estate, he has his own TV shows, The Apprentice, very famous, and was also in the news during the presidential election for criticizing Barack Obama. And in the past, he's even questioned whether Barack Obama was born in the United States, and to which Obama produced his birth certificate. So Donald Trump is a very famous American real estate developer. He's coming to Vancouver to hold a news conference with the Holborn Group, which is a company that's been around Vancouver for many years and perhaps best known for redeveloping the Little Mountain site, which was a huge old social housing complex that BC Housing has on Main Street around 33rd. And so the Holborn Group is redeveloping that. But the Holborn Group was also trying to develop a Ritz-Carlton Hotel on West Georgia, in the 1100 block of West Georgia Street. And so there's a lot of speculation that Donald Trump will be in Vancouver with the Holborn Group, holding a news conference to announce perhaps a new Trump Tower in Vancouver. We haven't had a tower named after Donald Trump, and he hasn't done any investments in Vancouver yet. But I think it's indicative of how Vancouver is becoming, a bigger city in the world scene when someone like Donald Trump comes to Vancouver and makes a substantial investment. One of the issues he's going to face, if it's a high-rise luxury condo, is there is a fair amount of competition in the market with some major developers. You've got One West Holdings, Terry Hoy's company, doing projects on the north side of False Creek. There are some towers going up on the north end of the Granville Street Bridge, and some iconic large buildings. So if there's another tower coming, it's happening at a time when the real estate market is relatively slow, although some projects, particularly those along SkyTrain lines, have been selling out quite quickly. The question is if he does build a luxury condominium in Vancouver, or if there's an entertainment component, because Donald Trump is well known for being in the casino business, that will shake things up, and I'm sure it will attract a great deal of attention. It's going to be fun to see Donald Trump come to Vancouver and talk about these things. Now, one other story that we're paying attention to, as is everyone across the country, is the Senate scandal in Ottawa. And you've got a situation where Pamela Wallin, who's a well-known senator and a former national broadcaster on CTV, has given her first interview to CBC News, in which she said she was sorry about what happened. She billed $350,000 in expenses for travel since 2010. Some of those flights that she took were not for public business in the eyes of an audit. What happened was she would travel to board meetings and then go back to Saskatchewan, where she's a senator and has a home. So she was sounding somewhat contrite on TV, but at the same time, you've got an RCMP investigation into another one of the Senate scandals, and this involves Mike Duffy, who's another former CTV broadcaster and CBC broadcaster. It's interesting how the broadcasters and journalists in the Senate are the ones who are getting into trouble on expenses. Mike Duffy was charging for housing expenses in Ottawa when the claim is that Ottawa was his principal residence. So he had to pay back $90,000, and what happened was the Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff, Nigel Wright, gave him a check to cover the expenses, and that wasn't revealed until quite a bit later. Well, now the RCMP is looking into this because there are legal issues about giving money to somebody who's a member of the Senate or the Parliament of Canada. We'll see where this goes, but in the meantime, there's an ethics commissioner for Parliament who is looking at this, and she has stopped her examination because the RCMP are investigating. And that raises serious questions. If the RCMP start an investigation, does that mean all other investigations have to stop? And there has been some criticism of the Ethics Commissioner's role in doing this because she is responsible for regulating, being the watchdog on ethical behavior, and that in some cases is different than criminal behavior. Just because somebody may have obeyed the laws, but still might have violated rules regarding ethics. So that's something we're watching, and so that's pretty much it for this week. I'm Charlie Smith, Chief Editor of the Georgia Straight, and it's been a pleasure to be with you on WOW TV.
感谢收看今天的大温故事，我们下期再见。